Straight ahead on 12 News, using pennies to make art. The Brooklyn Park man's work that you could say is priceless. Plus, a dispute involving bus aides in the Brooklyn Center School District, why some say they had no choice but to quit. But first, remembering 9/11.
When you first walked onto that scene, it was unbelievable.
And a local chaplain who has vivid memories of the aftermath. 12 News starts right now. Across the Northwest Metro, there are moving tributes to victims of 9/11. At Providence Academy, small flags drape the school grounds, each flag representing one of the victims. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Chances are you remember where you were on 9/11.
First responders in Plymouth do too. They mark the day with a special ceremony. Reporter Shannon Slatton has more.
Firefighters and officers stand at attention remembering 9/11 on a September day much like the one 13 years ago. At Plymouth Fire Station 2, a somber ceremony remembers the 3,000 lives lost in the worst terror attack in a generation.
This was and continues to be a defining moment in our American history.
A flag of honor names each person who died, and photos recall what happened that day.
We certainly are not here to worship the event, we are here to remember.
But Chaplain Greg Bodine needs no photos to remember.
It was this world of smoke and dust and heat and ash. It was an unreal place.
He spent 6 weeks at Ground Zero in the fall of 2001.
When you first walked onto that scene, it was unbelievable. It's hard. Nothing I had ever experienced in life had really prepared me for the amount of destruction and devastation.
Chaplain Bodine counseled first responders and their families.
I spent a lot of time working with the families of the firefighters, and we would bring them to Ground Zero after a little while as a part of their journey of grief.
This Red Cross responder has seen his share of hurricanes and disasters, but this experience he still struggles to put into words.
The destruction, but somebody intentionally did this to people. That was hard to just get your head around that.
So today in Plymouth, Chaplain Bodine remembers not only 9/11, but the message he brought back from Ground Zero.
Family members who I work with would say to me, life is a gift. Tell people that. Every day is a gift. Remember to tell the people in your life that you love them.
Bodine works as a chaplain for several local fire departments as well as at North Memorial Medical Center. Chief Klein also talked today about how 9/11 changed the way first responders react to emergencies. Agencies have collaborated to improve communications, training, and equipment. Mike?
All right, thank you, Shannon. Against the backdrop of the 9/11 anniversary, an interesting perspective was shared at a Brooklyn Park fire station.
Because we don't understand one another.
The Brooklyn Park Fire Department hosted 13 Ukrainian students visiting Minnesota to learn about leadership. Their tour of a Brooklyn Park fire station included a discussion about 9/11. And while many of the teenagers were too young to remember the events, it was a poignant topic considering the current unrest in Ukraine.
They have seen another country invade theirs, and it's just below the surface for every one of them. They don't know what they're going home to. They don't know whether it will continue to escalate.
The Ukrainian students will return home next week.
Police are looking for an armed robber who held up a Brooklyn Park grocery store over the weekend. It happened around 12:30 Saturday afternoon at the Aldi store on Brooklyn Boulevard. According to police, a man with a gun robbed the store and got away with an undisclosed amount of cash. The Aldi store is in the same block as the Brooklyn Park Police South Precinct.
It's an anxious scenario for parents waiting for your child to return home at the bus stop and your child never arrives.
It happened last week to one family in the Brooklyn Center School District. Turns out the 5-year-old boy fell asleep on the bus. But the incident raised questions among former district employees about the importance of bus aids and whether the incident could have been prevented. Delane Cleveland has more.
Every school day, a fleet of 13 buses owned by the Brooklyn Center School District provide rides for kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Nearly all of the buses have bus aides who earn at least $12 an hour.
And it's really to support student behavior and support safety for students as they're traveling between pickups to and from school.
The bus aid program is in its second year, and Superintendent Mark Bonine says only 2 of 13 positions are unfilled.
We did have some bus aides leave, and there's some natural attrition. Part of that is some leave because it's not enough hours.
Yes.
That's part of the reason why Nikisha Jones quit her job as a Brooklyn Center bus aide 2 weeks ago.
When we first started, we were guaranteed 4 hours. We have split shift, so we're 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon.
However, she says the district did away with guaranteed hours right before the start of this school year.
We were pretty much left with, you may get an hour in the morning, you may get 2 hours in the morning.
Bonine says it's a decision that came down to fiscal responsibility.
So if we pick students up and we're done with the bus route in 3 hours and 30 minutes, there's no reason for us to pay a bus aide an extra half hour a day for not working.
As a result, Jones says she and several other bus aides quit their jobs, which put more stress on bus drivers.
I think the incident that they had last week on the news with the child being left on the bus, I think that speaks for itself.
It probably would have made a difference if the bus aide would have been on the bus, but I believe the bus aide called in sick in the afternoon, and so we just had the bus driver.
Jones says she wanted to come forward to look out for her old coworkers and to raise awareness of what's going on in the district.
You can't treat people any type of way and think that it's okay and just continue doing it.
Superintendent Bonine says he hasn't had any bus aides come forward to voice their concerns, and no bus drivers have come to him to complain about the lack of bus aides. Mike and Alex, the district is in its second year of this bus aid program, and they're still not sure whether it will continue in the future.
All right, wait and see.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Delane.
Mm-hmm.
An impressive fire in Maple Grove Wednesday night. Fortunately, it was only a training exercise. Maple Grove firefighters spent the night learning to battle a propane tank fire. They can be extremely difficult to put out. That's because propane is heavier than air and will sink and pool rather than rise and disperse. Propane explosions can send debris flying as far as 3/4 of a mile away.
There's a lot of pressure inside of a propane tank, and when it gets heated up from a fire, that increases that pressure inside that tank.
Firefighters say there's no replacement for live fire training to help them learn proper techniques. Coming up, a pesky plant that can overtake your yard if left untreated.
That's next in the garden. And then later in sports, Maple Grove and Wayzata get set to renew their football rivalry.
But first, a chance for more rain on Friday.
Buckthorn is an invasive plant that can actually take over your yard if you let it.
Reporter Sonia Goins goes in the garden to show us how to get rid of buckthorn for good.
Buckthorn is a woody, small tree, large shrub that came from Europe, and people planted it as a great hedge.
It wasn't hard to spot buckthorn at Zachary Park in Plymouth.
That's one, and there's one just inside there.
This is what it looks like close up.
Dark green, kind of glossy and oily, and the way the leaf pattern is.
Plymouth crews have been working since spring to get rid of the problem plant.
We've cleared about 45 acres since April.
Buckthorn is bad because it's so aggressive.
I have seen them this big around.
Often taking over native vegetation.
It's kind of like if you're running a race against someone on steroids. That's kind of like our native plants trying to compete against buckthorn. It's just not a fair race.
The plant also reproduces quickly.
There's like 5 seeds in each berry, and each tree's got, 1,000 berries.
There are several ways to make it go away.
It's nice right now because the ground is pretty wet.
You can pull it out.
This is my preferred method because then you don't have any chemicals to worry about. You don't have to go check on it later to make sure that it's gone.
Or you could bring out the big guns.
It's called a extractigator. So I'm going to take and put this right around the stem. I'm just going to clamp it and then peel it out. I'm not putting forth a lot of effort here.
You could also cut it off, but you have to add herbicides afterwards.
20% Roundup. If you just cut the plant and don't do an after treatment, it's just going to regrow and probably more vigorously than it was before.
Buckthorn is not picky where it plants itself, so homeowners have to stay on top of it.
It'll grow anywhere. Sun, shade, clay soils, sandy soils, it doesn't care.
For In the Garden, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
Plymouth is holding workshops to show residents how to identify and remove buckthorn. We have more information at our website. It's 12.tv. Coming up, how a Brooklyn Park man used all his extra pennies to cover the entire country.
But first in sports, why the Maple Grove boys soccer team looks like a tough one to beat. Jason Malillo is in next.
Welcome back. Well, it's only week 3 of the regular season in high school football, but there is no game bigger Friday night than Maple Grove and Wayzata. Wayzata comes into the contest with a 1-1 record after a tough 1-point loss to Egan last Friday. The Trojans drove 80 yards for a touchdown in the final seconds to pull within 1 point, but their 2-point conversion try failed. And although it was a loss, that drive did give the offense a shot in the arm.
It was a lot of fun, and I think that the confidence for sure boosted, because now we know what we can do out of the pass game.
They missed that field goal and we drove all the way down. Thought that was big. We had a minute 30 and we drove 80-some yards. I thought that was really impressive. And we're just getting better each week. Got a new offense, pretty new defense here, so I think we'll get better as the year goes on.
The Trojans don't want to fall to 1-2 with their tough late conference games ahead, but beating Maple Grove won't be easy. It rekindles a rivalry from some past playoff meetings, but now with a different twist.
If you go back in history, you'll see it's been kind of one direction for a number of years there when Craig Hansen was in charge of the program. They've got a long history there as a school of playing us tough. Now with Matt Lombardi over there, Matt being the former defensive coordinator in our program, he's going to have a pretty good idea a lot about this community. The thing is, there's not much left here from when he left. There's only 2 coaches left on our varsity staff that were here when he was here.
Now, meanwhile, Maple Grove is off to a 2-0 start with wins over Edina and Armstrong. The Crimson broke open a close game against the Falcons last Friday, scoring the final 4 touchdowns of the first half to take a 40-13 lead. MG sticks to the one game at a time philosophy, but head coach Matt Lombardi spent a decade as defensive coordinator at Wayzata and admits this is not just another game for him.
It's special. I think, a lot of years were spent there and a lot of great memories and a lot of good things. And so walking onto that field from a different side will be a little bit different. I probably will go to the wrong locker room and things like that. But I think, but it's more exciting for our kids. I think from where our program came from to where it's now, it's kind of exciting that we're going into this game and it's going to be a battle.
Coach Lombardi could moonlight as a blues singer. The Crimson offense is averaging over 33 points a game in the 2 wins and is working hard to improve a defense that lost several starters from a year ago. Overall, though, it's so far so good for Maple Grove football.
We got confidence now because we got the first 2 victories underway. So now we get to play good competition and see how good we really are.
Our team's been playing really well. We've got the job done. We've been doing our stuff, reading our keys, just getting everything done the way we're supposed to do. Thought we went pretty well. Couple of faults, nothing we can't fix though.
We're a work in progress. I think we're playing well. It's good to get 2 wins, obviously, but defensively we're still finding ourselves a little bit. But offensively, I think we're doing some good things. So, hey, you're 2-0 through 2 games. I got to be happy with that.
And if you can't make it out to Wayzata Friday night, you can watch the game live right here on Channel 12 and at 12.tv starting at 7 o'clock, 6:53 with the pregame. You can also watch the replay Saturday night at 7 and 10 p.m. or Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Well, the other football team at Maple Grove is also rolling along so far this fall. The Crimson Boys soccer team enters Thursday game against Irondale with a 7-0 record, and the team is rated 4th in Class AA. They've allowed just 6 goals. It's a team with some good experience, and they're excited about the start, but also keeping an eye on the big picture.
Everyone's feeling good about what we've done thus far, but the mentality is just you got to focus on every game and each game try to get a little bit better. So while we're proud of what we've done thus far, we're more focusing on what's ahead.
Team's looking great. Confidence is key right now, and I think that's
we're doing really well with that right now, and but we're taking it one game at a time, and I'm just glad to see how we're performing this year. And
they're a grounded group. They understand kind of that this is not a quick race to the end. It's a long season. We have to be good and get better as we go into October.
After hosting Irondale on Thursday, Maple Grove plays at Totino Grace on Saturday afternoon. It feels more like mid-season or late-season soccer weather out there right now,
right?
you know? But if you make it all the way this year, football and soccer, they're all going to play outside since the Metrodome is no more. So get used to it.
More to come. That's right. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Welcome.
In Plymouth, voters will see a familiar matchup on the ballot in House District 44A.
That seat is currently held by Republican Sarah Anderson, who is seeking a 5th term. She's facing DFL candidate Audrey Britton for the 3rd time.
I'm State Representative Sarah Anderson. I'm proud to serve Plymouth residents. As your state representative, I passed legislation expanding Highway 494 through Plymouth. I supported bipartisan measures to grow high-paying jobs, repealing job-crushing business-to-business taxes, freeing up cash flow for small businesses, and spurring growth in our high-tech job sector. For our kids, I voted for free all-day kindergarten funding, smaller class sizes, and keeping the best teachers in the classroom. I carried an increase for early childhood education for at-risk youth and worked to drive down college tuition. Growing jobs, making government smaller and smarter, and putting students first are my priorities. Again, I'm State Representative Sarah Anderson, and I ask for your support.
I'm Audrey Britton. I was raised here in the western suburbs where I attended our schools, worked in our businesses, and raised 3 college graduates. I'm running because I believe those representing us should have experience outside of politics. I've held leadership roles in a nonprofit, transportation, Fortune 500s, and as a small business owner. I believe that if we want our elected officials to be public servants rather than politicians, they should have a history of serving our community. I'm on the boards of Small Business Minnesota and Plymouth Transit Advisory. I've also volunteered with Habitat for Humanity, Courage Center, and many others. I'm asking for your vote not to further a political career, but to end partisanship and focus on the issues most important to us, like education, jobs, and fiscal responsibility.
And we will be right back.
Before I can actually...
6 months ago, we profiled John Ebert and his ambitious map project. He sorted pennies into 4 color shades and stacked them 6 high to resemble the United States. Well, we caught up with John this week as he completed the project. He used a 150-pound sheet of glass to keep the pennies in place.
850 hours. Was it worth it? Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I hope it ends up somewhere where lots of people can see it.
There are just over 24,000 pennies in the design, and it weighs 550 pounds. He plans to display it at the Art Attack exhibit in Northeast Minneapolis in November. What a project.
Love it.
See you tomorrow, everyone.